Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Tees Valley CPD event about apprenticeships. I'm Sharon Walpole from CareerMap, and I'm delighted to be your host for today's session. I see some of you have already been chattering away in the chat. Just to let you know that this session is going to be recorded and it will be made available on the Tees Valley site and on CareerMap TV on YouTube. As I said, you'll see there is a chat function. Please feel free to ask questions and make comments during the presentations. I'll be gathering these up to put to our panelists during the Q&A, which will be following all of the presentations. Before we begin, I would like to invite you to take part in a poll so we can gauge the impact of this CPD session. You can find the poll on the little button on the right there in the chat. If you click on there, and then you can choose which one you want. Let me just publish it, sorry. There we go. So the poll's there. If you could take a couple of minutes and just say how you feel or how confident you feel about your knowledge for apprenticeships. And hopefully this number will go up by the time we get finished. And hopefully we'll give you a nice bit of armory of resources that you can look at as well. So I'm just going to go to the presentation that we have here. I'm going to move myself so I'm out of the way. There we go. Right. And away we go. So I'm going to be starting this session talking about apprenticeships more widely before we get into each of the employers' sort of experiences. And I would like to say that we at CareerMap have been in the apprenticeship space for a very long time. We have a live jobs board and we've seen things change quite a lot. So with that experience, I'm going to give you, like I said, an overview of apprenticeships and provide some key facts and figures. We want you to feel prepared and confident is what this session is about, so that when you are talking to young people and possibly their parents about doing apprenticeships, you'll know what to say when you're talking to them about this is a good potential next step for their choices. So let's start. As I said, we want to see what you think you know about apprenticeships. A lot of people feel that they know quite a lot. Some people don't feel very confident at all. I'm pleased to see that a lot of you feel you know a bit, but you would like to find out where there's more information. Quite often, that is the case. We find that people know overall facts and figures, but when you really start digging down, and if you consider how many sectors there are, how many levels of apprenticeships there are, where do you find them, where's more information, we hope we'll be able to guide you and direct you through more of that as we go along. But let's go into some of the facts and figures. I'm going to keep the poll open until I'm finished with my part of the presentation, and we'll carry on from there. So let's start from the beginning. One of the things I think is really important to understand is that an apprenticeship is actually a paid job. A lot of people look at it as just an academic or a kind of qualification pathway, but you do have to go through a full application process to get the job. And you will be working while you are studying towards your qualification. And if you consider if you're doing a degree apprenticeship, you will be doing a full degree during working full time. Most employers who offer degree apprenticeships often expect very high grades, and they don't have very large cohorts. So when people say, oh, you go to university or do a degree apprenticeship, it's not nearly as cut straight or as, simple as that. You do have to really be quite outstanding. In fact, I had a friend of my son's who applied for a Jaguar Land Rover 1, and he had 3 A's and an A star, and he didn't even get in the first year and had to wait a year and get some work experience and then apply again next year. So it's quite an amazing opportunity, but it's not a given. But I'm sure some of our guests will speak some more about that. Nice thing about a degree apprenticeship, though, is that you are completing a real full university degree, but you're doing that part-time whilst working full-time. It requires an incredible amount of commitment and passion. It's not something to be taken lightly as an option. I'm sure you've heard that apprenticeships come in all levels. For those of you who may not be aware, level 2 is sort of equivalent to GCSE, level 3, A level, and so on up to level 7, where you're talking about higher degrees, higher levels. Now, even if, and I'll come back to my example with my friend's son who had his A levels, when he started Jaguar Land Rover on the engineering apprenticeship program, he actually had to start at level 2. Now, it's not that he got amazing high grades at level 3. They were very concerned and thought, could they skip a year of the apprenticeship? But no, that first year was very much about learning about that industry and that sector. So it's not necessarily a direct equivalent of what the level of the academic qualification that you get, because you're learning about a job and you're learning about an industry. Another thing that is something that you need to realize is that it's what's called on-off recruitment cycles. There is some very large employers who do follow the academic year, who will take large cohorts as part of their recruitment cycle year. But if you consider, lots of employers might only take half a dozen, and if you do consider it is recruitment, they could be hiring an apprenticeship at any point of the year. Now, right now, all of our minds are really focused about apprenticeships because it is about to be National Apprenticeship Week next week. But that doesn't mean that that's the only time there's recruitment. So if you've got young people who are interested and they may want to work, maybe not at a giant firm, maybe they want to work somewhere small or local or somewhere else, to keep an eye on the employer jobs board of when they actually have a vacancy available. We also, it's important to think when you're advising young people about doing an apprenticeship, that there are job roles that cross sectors. I put IT is the future. It's the future. I thought that was quite clever. But for instance, IT, virtually every organization requires an element of IT. So if you're talking about marrying two passions, perhaps you have someone who's very, very keen on sport, but isn't a sport player. There's still IT required in the running of the businesses and so on with that. And the same for, say, NHS. If they wanted to work in healthcare, but they didn't want to be a doctor, they could work in IT in there. So when you're looking and advising young people, don't just think about sectors, think about the job role that's coming up, and then they can marry that with other opportunities. But you don't want to listen to me. You want to hear from our fabulous presenters. I'm going to move my picture if you want to take a screenshot now, because there's already providing you with some links. Oh, I can't move anywhere and not be in the way. I'll turn my camera off for a minute. Right. So if you've got someone looking for any job vacancy, it does take time and research. Just think about where you are and what it took you to get to where you are. They need to look at them before applying. Encourage them to find out more about who is offering the apprenticeships and in the fields that they're interested. Find out about specific organizations. I'm sure none of you would have gone to work for a school or a college without having a look at what that school or college was first, as well as what the job is and how much it's going to be paid and where it's located and so on. If a young person's interested in finding out more about apprenticeships, you can see that I've made these too light. You may not be able to see these. I hope you can get a screenshot, but if not, as the other people start speaking, I'll drop these into the chats that you can open them up while we're speaking. So let me just see here. We're now going to start meeting our employers. I'm very excited personally to speak to and hear what our guests have to say from BP, EE, and Jacobs. To be fair, as I said to them, we're letting them present in alphabetical order by organization. As I said, keep popping those questions in the chat. I shall group them together and answer them, ask them to our panelists. Some of the panelists may jump in and answer as they're waiting their turn to come in or whilst they're speaking. But there will be a panel discussion at the end, and the session is being recorded. So without further ado, if I get over to our presentations here, and I'm very pleased to invite our speaker, Robin Ashfield from BP, to join us. I'll get her presentation up and started.
Hello, everyone.
Do you want to put your camera on, Robin?
I sure can. There we go.
Right, I'm going to pop off and I'll see you in a little bit.
Thank you so much. And I can see my slides there. So I'm assuming everybody can see my slides and hear me okay. Pop in the chat if there's any issues. So I will begin. Apprenticeships at BP. So here you go. There's a little picture of me to complement the picture of me on the video. I'm the Early Careers Senior Advisor for UK apprenticeships. I mostly focus on apprenticeships, although I occasionally dabble in graduates as well. So today I've got some slides for you on who are BP, what apprenticeship offerings do we have, what our recruitment process looks like, and there is a video that Sharon's going to kindly play for me of one of our current apprentices talking about his experience. And then I'll be available for the panel discussion and any Q&A that you want to pop in the chat as I go through. Okay, so reimagining energy for people and our planet. This is our purpose. We want to help the world reach net zero and improve people's lives. And we're transforming our whole business to make it happen. We've reinvented BP to meet the challenges ahead, growing our low carbon energy business, driving down emissions across our operations, and forming positive partnerships all around the world. You might be familiar with BP from our forecourt business, but we do much more than that. We provide heat, light, and mobility to customers all over the world with a purpose to reimagine energy for people and our planet, and an ambition to be a net zero company by 2050 or sooner. We have operations in Europe, North and South America, Australasia, Asia, and Africa, and we deliver our energy solutions across the world. So at a glance, through our scale and reach that we have here, you can see that we've got over 65,000 employees. We've got over 20,000 retail sites. We are present in 65 countries. We've got over 13,000 EV charging points, 12 million customer touch points, equivalent of 2.2 million barrels of oil a day. And we are investing in BP Ventures or Launchpad, which helps new businesses to grow. And we have 14 countries where BP Lightsource is active. That's our solar energy arm. Okay. So whilst hydrocarbons are still a big part of our business, we are also investing in and developing renewables and low carbon areas such as wind, solar, blue and green hydrogen, sustainable aviation fuel, EV charging, and electrification of cities. Our strategy addresses the energy trilemma. That's energy that is secure and affordable, as well as lower carbon. Okay. So whilst we're mostly in oil and gas today, we've increased our global investment in our lower carbon convenience stores and power trading business, what we call our transition growth engines, from around 3% in 2019 to around 30% in 2022. We've got a sustainability framework that underpins our work. You can see here that we've got get to net zero, improve people's lives, and care for our planet. Underpinning this, we've got 10 aims, 5 aims to improve people's lives and 5 aims to care for our planet. At BP, we have a set of values, a set of beliefs. They're called who we are. You can see them on the screen here. And these are really important to us when we are recruiting, but also when we are thinking about how we act in the business together. So live our purpose, safety comes first, make a positive impact and do the right thing. Play to win, know the competition, keep improving, be accountable, care for others, be kind, prioritize the team, and put yourself in other people's shoes. Who we are defines what we stand for at BP, building on our best qualities and those things that are most important to us. It comprises 3 simple beliefs that can inspire each of us at BP to be our best every day. So our apprenticeship programme, fresh challenges, thinking and opportunities, you'll find them with BP. With specialist training and a buddy to help settle in, we'll give all the support that's needed to grow and progress. We need diverse talent in every part of our business. So whilst an academic background does matter, you might find that your interests, talents and ambitions have more of a bearing on where you end up working. You'll build your future through on-the-job learning, developing a toolkit of transferable skills, and have a dedicated network of support to help succeed. There's also off-the-job training to help work towards a professional qualification and an apprentice coach to provide guidance with your professional studies. Okay, so here's an outline of our offering at BP. We have opportunities in a number of different areas in our business areas. So we have opportunities in business, so things like HR and finance and commercial roles. We've also got opportunities in digital as we become a more digital company. We've got opportunities in trading and shipping. We've got opportunities in aviation engineering and in our labs and in project controls. And notably project controls, we're working in the Tees Valley area. The salary range that we offer for our apprenticeships start from 19,600, depending which level qualification an apprentice is going to undertake. So that would be for a level 3, and it moves up to 24,100 for a level 6. The asterisk, the anomaly here, is for our trading and shipping roles, which start at 30,800. As well as that base salary, apprentices get a sign-on bonus of £3,000, a wellbeing allowance of £1,500 a year, flexible benefits allowance, which is currently 20% of the base salary, a supportive environment with buddies and mentors. We have a lot of clubs and societies, and our apprenticeship programs last between 2 and 4 years. So you can see here outlined is our application process. We have a global application form which assesses eligibility for the role. It is very quick and simple. We don't ask for a great deal of detail at that stage. Assuming candidates are eligible, we move them onto a set of online assessments, which are testing a cognitive personality and situational judgment questionnaire. We then have a deductive reasoning test, which follows those. If candidates score well in those, we will move them on to a global on-demand video interview, where candidates will play one of my colleagues reading out a question and then record themselves answering that question back. During that, we're really looking to assess motivation, and we will be using some competency-based questions. If candidates score well there, then they will move on to our global exploration day. And we call it an exploration day because we accept that candidates are also looking at other employers, and we want to give them the opportunity to explore who we are and if we are the right fit for them, as well as us looking to assess them to see if they're the right fit for us. Okay, so Sharon, could you now play for me this video of Kareem, one of our current trading and shipping apprentices, please?
Morning, I wake up, meditate. After that, I love reading. For me, it helps sort of get into the flow of the day, and that quietness, that kind of visualizing the day, seeing it how I want to experience it, having a positive attitude to kick off, never hurt anyone. So I enjoy that. My day-to-day role involves supporting the different functions across the trading floor. It's very fast-paced, but there's also a lot of element of thinking and strategizing, which I also enjoy. There's legal sides to it, there's tax implications. I think it's just really cool to have contact and communication with all those different entities and seeing how it comes together as one. And I think it's so cool to have a job that relates so directly with the real world. I've always liked high pressure, quick environments. What I do enjoy particularly about trading, that there's so much discipline involved, so much moving objects that you kind of got to be on top of. We have multiple commodities here at BP. For me, it's incredibly exciting to be a part of BP, especially at the point in time that it's in. It's like joining a tech company at the tech boom. I think ongoing training is really important to just keep up with the fast-paced environment that comes with being on the trading floor, especially in this new space of net zero. We have lunches with some of the very senior members of BP and kind of get to hear their thoughts on what the market's doing, where they think it's going. You're surrounded by the best in the industry, so you're picking up all the great habits and all the niches that have led them to where they are today. When I first joined BP, one thing that really stood out was how open and easy it was to reach out to people that have sort of done the path before you. Everyone sort of wanted to teach you, show you stuff, and if they don't know the answer, they'll refer you to someone that does. And so I think that really helped me, coming straight from sixth form. I was definitely grateful for how open and how giving everyone was of their time. Being around such passionate people all the time just definitely helps you be enthusiastic about your own job and makes you want to do better because everyone else is doing the best that they can. The kind of environment we do have, sometimes it's really nice going down to the karting place that we've had recently open, even something like having a nice group lunch with other colleagues. I never thought I'd be where I'm at now in a corporate environment and enjoying it as much as I am, experiencing the working world, but also knowing that I can actually do it. I think that's really cool. Yeah, really loving it.
Thank you, Sharon. And I
Thank you
think that
very
brings
much.
me to the end.
Excellent. Well, it was brilliant to hear what you've had to say. If anybody's got any questions for Robin from BP, please drop them in the chat. You'll see you again shortly. Thank you very much, Robin.
Thank you.
And now we'd like you to meet Jade Muir from EE. Hi, Jade.
Hi.
Get your presentation started and I'll see you at the end.
Fabulous. Perfect. So just to introduce myself, my name's Jade Muir. I'm currently an improvement and implementation leader here at EE in Darlington. And I just want to talk to you a little bit in terms of kind of the way that we operate our apprentice model. In terms of EE, I will give you a little bit of insight. We are part of the BT group, so a much wider organisation. In terms of the BT group, just like BP has mentioned there, we are also international. I think we currently have roughly about 110,000 employees across the UK as well as the rest of the world. And we really are, in terms of, I suppose, a business going from strength to strength. Now, in particular, with actual apprentices, we have a range of different apprenticeship levels that we do offer there. So in terms of it, we go from anything being at level 2 all the way to level 6 in pretty much almost everything that people could possibly think of. Now, we range from customer service to project management to software engineering, applied research, field engineering, cybersecurity. The list is quite endless. However, I suppose in particular in regards to the Tees Valley, we normally have level 2 customer service here in Darlington. We're very much looking to expand that further, but I would like to obviously talk to you a little bit about that. Now, I will apologise, I haven't got any sort of videos or anything like that, but hopefully it will give you a little bit of insight. So I'm just going to move my I think I might be able to move my picture, but hopefully you'll be able to see this regardless. But nevertheless, in terms of kind of what it's all about is with our vision of apprentices is that we want to really, really obviously foster that fresh perspective and idea from a younger generation. We've had people who've grown up with BT, and as we move into new technologies, that we want those fresh faces, we want those brilliant ideas to help us continue with a very, very sustainable workforce, and a very, very skilled one at that. So I've got a few facts and figures, and these are just what we've collected from the Darlington area, is that a lot of young people aren't particularly confident and don't have the right sort of skills or experience or potentially qualifications to go into a lot of roles. We have in our particular area 4.1% of 16 to 7-year-olds who would be classed as NEET. 7.4% of 18 to 24-year-olds who are claiming benefits. We've got 70.9% of those who are unemployed who simply do not want to work. And just under 50% of those like individuals are not confident in terms of progressing into what they would class as a decent, good job. And lastly, there only 1 in 3 young people think that employers are supportive of hiring them. So we really, really want to change the mold in terms of that. So we've really gone from strength to strength with our apprentice cohorts. I know that we touched on the beginning in terms of we can recruit at any time of the year. We generally in Darlington do it at 2 times a year. We do a cohort normally to start in September that will align with our school leavers, and then we do a cohort normally this kind of springtime where this will be targeted at people who fell out of education. So like I've said there, we really do want to develop that motivated, skilled and quality workforce. We really want to give back to the wider community, and it really helps us as a business increase that social responsibility. So I'm just going to move on to my next slide. So this is just to touch on our recruitment. And the way that we ultimately like to do things here is that we're really, really working hard with external stakeholders across the local community. And like I said, we've got a real focus on corporate responsibility and increasing that pipeline, whether it's, providing work experience, whether it's engaging with our local MPs, whether it's just a lot of social media outreach. We want to make sure that people have, got the opportunity and the view of it being a career. Now, in terms of kind of our recruitment, we are a little bit different. We absolutely do have that global platform where we would expect somebody to put in an application. However, from that point that's where we're probably a little bit different, and that we really see ourselves as giving somebody the I suppose the leg up onto their career platform. So we focus on providing employability skills alongside our apprenticeship. So as part of it, we will do a taster day where we invite any sort of candidates who are interested in the role, providing they are eligible, to come and view what the business is like, listen to what potentially they will be doing, get involved with some tasks, with some projects. However, alongside that, what we do is we also ensure that we provide an overview on assessment centres as well as interview skills to make sure that they are in the best possible position to seek employment with ourselves. And I suppose in regards to when we do onboard them, what you will find with a lot of apprenticeships is it doesn't have the same lead up time as what a standard BAU role may have, where you might only have a couple of weeks to onboard someone. Generally with apprenticeships, it does take that a little bit longer because of them having to have all of the details sent to the apprentice provider. So again, with this, we try and keep our cohorts really really engaged. We will invite them in, and we will do everything that we potentially need to do with them up until the point of employment. Now, what we'd actually seen is, in terms of our last lot of recruitment, is that we'd seen a 686% application to actual positions, which is amazing for us as a business. And it's quite clear to see that we have got a lot of local interest from a younger generation to get involved with apprenticeships. And I suppose this is kind of what's quite interesting from a business perspective, is that we see a 76% retention rate on any sort of apprentice coming in comparison to only a 55% retention rate for employees who would come in as a standard employee. And then the last one is that we've seen a 5% reduced dropout rate versus obviously our standard employees that we would hire. So for us as a business, it is absolutely, like say, the best way that we could move forward in terms of recruitment is by hiring apprentices. Now, in terms of kind of the way, again, that it would work for any sort of apprentices coming into this company, is we have a great mixture of work, learning, and fantastic outputs there. So we know that the cohorts generally that we find for our apprentices may not have all of the right life skills, and we've got a real great opportunity to, like say, to really bring to life skills, whether it's money matters, whether it's, you know what, understanding pensions, whether it's understanding tax implications. We want to provide those, like say, key life skills. We will naturally, like say, embed all of our actual day-to-day activities in them, and like say, the outputs that we've seen on the back of it is we don't just want our apprentices to come work for EE and that be it for the rest of the life, although there is some great, fantastic career opportunities. We've seen people who've come from our organisation and moved into the likes of the NHS. We've seen them move into the likes of the fire service. You know, we've got the civil service. We give people very, very clear transferable skills that they will be able to utilise. What we also really focus on as well within the actual company is the development of enterprise advisors, and it's something that we naturally encourage any of our apprentices to get involved with some of the activity that we do, so that we can reach out to local schools and that we can, like say, really touch bases and emphasize that, you know what, there is absolutely a career here for any individual. Now, just to touch on, I suppose, the kind of career pathways, especially in Darlington, we, like say, we offer a level 2 in customer service, although we are looking to expand that further. And as part of that, we don't look for any sort of specific qualifications, although it would be amazing and it's absolutely something that we would recommend everyone obtain. It wouldn't prevent us ultimately, like say, employing somebody. So I suppose in regards to eligibility, we look for people to have a desire to work. We look for people to have a desire to get into a global enterprise. We want people who've got passion, who have got some great communication skills. If they don't hold a maths GCSE or an English GCSE, alongside the 20% of time that we would dedicate for them to complete their level 2 in customer service, we will provide additional time so they have got their functional skills as well. It's something that we are incredibly proud of. In regards to a salary for ourselves, our starting salary for our apprentices is £19,500 per year. And that does not include any of the bonuses that they make. We run a commission-based bonus for all of our employees, as well as a performance-based bonus. So it can really, like say, be a great starting point for a lot of them. Hopefully, like say, you'll see on here some of the things that we succeeded with in the last year. So that's very much we've supported with our local recruitment challenges. our current apprentice cohorts have developed and gone into a multitude of different roles that we have here available at EE, but some of them have gone into the wider community as well. And absolutely, we are, like say, we're growing from strength to strength, and we've succeeded in hiring multiple cohorts this year. So it's something that we are incredibly proud of. And hopefully that has just given you a little bit of insight as to, like say, some of the things that we're involved with currently. Thank you.
Hi, that was brilliant. Thank you very much. Well, we've had some interesting questions while it's still whirling around for me to come in. And I do know that Sarah asked Robin at BP about what advice would you give to someone on BP scholarships who's applying for an apprenticeship. Now, that's obviously a specific question for BP, but I think we can also talk about that on other programs when we just talk about applying for any kind of financial support, because I think that's a misnomer about what is the thought, the understanding between work and actually paying for the qualification. As if. I'll stop talking now.
That's okay. I would just say we do have some BP scholarship opportunities. So I'm reading Sarah's question as somebody who is currently on a BP scholarship, then applying for apprenticeships, which, if I'm right, the scholarship would usually see them through university to gain a first degree, which actually then bars them from entry to our apprenticeship opportunities. We would expect somebody with a first degree to apply to our graduate opportunities. And our early careers team, who focus on scholarships and graduates, would know who they are and be in contact with them.
Great. And what is the, are there any special circumstances with EE?
In terms of scholarships, we don't specifically offer scholarships. We do, however, offer internships, which is always quite beneficial, especially for anybody that is potentially wanting to move into certain sectors, such as the likes of cybersecurity and certainly project management. We've currently had a couple of different cohorts that we've offered internships to in the last year. We did 10,000 Black interns, as well as 10,000 able-bodied interns as well. They are you can apply for them in the exact same place as what you would find our apprenticeships, and they can vary from site to site. Currently, in a Darlington perspective, it's something that I'm really championing and fighting for, to be able to offer those internships, because we have got the ability to do them. However, even from, I suppose, a younger perspective, I'm a big champion of work experience as well. And certainly if anybody wanted to have some kind of insight as to the workplace, kind of, especially if it's potentially a career that they're wanting to go in further, like down the line, is, you know what, ultimately reach out to the company, reach out to the employees, whether it's going on LinkedIn, whether it's finding them through family or friends. Chances are we will know somebody who we can get in touch with, and we are more than happy to facilitate it. So yeah, it's something, like say, I would encourage anybody to do.
Brilliant. I think you both touched on CVs, and I know CV writing is something that in schools they do spend time in lessons and employability skills. But I don't know about the panel. I would feel that the world of CVs is possibly moving on, and there's also electronic application forms. And I think really what we need to distill, or perhaps you could have your opinion or view about the whole idea of a CV, what its function's meant to be, as opposed to a tool, and what you would look for really is that first touch sort of application?
Yes, certainly. I suppose in regards to CVs for us personally, as an organisation, it's not something that we absolutely look at. For any of our candidates that come through for our apprenticeship, what we're much more focused on is their ability to communicate and engage in a great conversation. Providing they can engage, then you know what, we're here to provide them with, like say, that real good opportunity, and we're looking for work ethic more than anything. So like I said, it's not something that we often look into. However, that being said, I do think it is equally really, really important, because what you will actually find is once you start progressing internally, that is where ultimately we utilize CVs a lot more. So we still embed those skills into our actual apprentices, if that makes sense.
So CV writing as a skill is important generally, but possibly not on the start. And Robin, before we hand over to Jade, do you want to make a comment on this as well?
Yeah, of course, no problem. So for apprenticeships, we don't use the CVs as a screening tool. We use our own application form, which, as I said earlier, is sort of brief and really just to assess that you've got the minimum eligibility criteria. We do, however, make it mandatory that people upload a CV. It's something that we might look at as a broader tool later down the line. If we've got somebody who's at our final stages, it helps us to get a sort of more rounded view of who they are. I'd agree with Jade that it's not a bad idea to start practicing that skill of writing down your attributes and your achievements. And for me, I'd say, as well as making sure that your education is on there, think about the audience who are reading that CV. So your education, when you're talking about GCSEs, for example, might seem really obvious if you are in that current world. If you are as old as I am, and it's been a while since you've been in the GCSE arena, then it might not be obvious if there's something that you're talking about. So think about the fact that it's likely to be an older audience who are reading your CV. So try to make sure that you're kind of putting yourself in someone else's shoes. I'd also say it's really important to add in other activities that candidates are doing. So whether that's sports or music or volunteering, if they're involved with a religious organization that brings something that demonstrates skills that they're bringing. So that teamwork element, that that desire to learn more, any of those kinds of transferable skills. We expect from apprentices that they're not going to have all of those things laid out in the way that a professional hire candidate will have. So do think about the broader spectrum of what elements you can bring in for that candidate, for that young person, to show that they have done more than just go to school. Right. I mean, it might be that the activities they have done are still within school. Again, we appreciate that not everybody has opportunity to do external activities that bulk up a CV. So if you've been part of a team at school, or that could even be delivering a project as part of your studies, if that's something that's been important to you and that you're able to draw out and talk about, that you've demonstrated good communication or good team working. The final point I'd make on CVs is, do think about how you save them, the file name, because we will see the file name. Yeah. And as a young person, sometimes you might want to be creative with that, but to remember that you are putting that into a professional environment.
Perfect. Right. Well, I know we've had a few little tech issues. I'm glad to see Lucy's back. I don't know if anybody has to rush off, but we might run over just a little bit to pick up and add Lucy to the a little bit more of the Q&A afterwards. So in the meantime, if the rest of us could turn our, except for you, Lucy, our cameras and microphones off, and we'll get get Lucy set up to start running her event.
Great stuff. Thanks, Sharon. Hopefully you can all hear me okay. Apologies for the technical issues. My internet decided to just die completely, so I've had to do a reset. But yeah, I'm back. I'll keep it quite snappy as we go through. I went at this from a slightly different approach after a conversation I had with Career Map last week. Basically, I started my career as an apprentice, so I thought it would be kind of interesting to look at it from a point of view of where my career has taken me and then brought me to my current role in Jacobs, and then linking that to what Jacobs do. So that's what I'll run you through. So if you can click on to the next slide, or can I do that? Sorry, Sharon. Yeah, I can do it. So yeah, this is me. I'm Lucy. I grew up in Thornaby. I went to what is now Thornaby Academy. So I left school. I did my GCSEs just before I turned 16. By the time I sat my GCSEs, I'd been appointed as an apprentice for British Gas Services in Thornaby. So I was going in to do a technical apprenticeship, which is kind of historically known as a gas fitter, gas man. It's now known as a technical engineer. And at the time I started the apprenticeship, about 1% of the apprentice workforce, or indeed the engineering workforce at British Gas, were female. So I felt quite lucky and quite unique in the role I'd taken on. And I felt, I guess, a little bit like I had a point to prove. I got a lot of support, a lot of training, and I progressed quite well with my career quite quickly. So I finished my apprenticeship at 19 with a level 3 NVQ in gas service and maintenance. And then I went on to become an engineer, followed closely in a couple of years by becoming sort of an engineering manager and then an area manager for British Gas. So looking after up to 100 engineers, looking after all the households in Teesside, Tyneside, Wearside. So I had quite a varied career with British Gas. And then when I was in my late 20s, I was offered an opportunity to go in as a technical resource, as a project manager down in headquarters for British Gas. And I took the opportunity, and that was where my project management sort of bug, I think, kicked in. So I was at British Gas in total for 23 years. And then when my children were small, I took a bit of a career break. And then when I was ready to come back into the working world 2 years ago, I was lucky enough to really happen across Jacobs Engineering in Stockton. So a school mum friend of mine, she works for us as a mechanical engineer. She does a lot of work with the STEM contingent in schools, looking at, you know, engineering careers. And basically she encouraged me to restart my career with Jacobs, which has been a fabulous decision. I've had 2 years with the company, and just to give you an insight, so Jacobs, where I work, it's basically a design house for engineering based in Stockton. We service all sorts of different clients in all sorts of different sectors, but we work on very varied projects, from sort of nuclear to roads to rail to cities to just all sorts. And as I say, I didn't actually know something so exciting existed on my doorstep, so definitely a good decision. So let's have a little look at what we do at Jacobs. If you could play the video, please.
Hiya, I think we had an issue with the video because we needed the YouTube clip rather than the embedded in the presentation.
Oh, I did email you it, but don't worry, we'll skip it and we can share it if anybody wants a bit of an insight. But as I say, I think when I first started, the biggest thing was realising how big, how global Jacobs was as a company. You know, I said it on a call I had the other day, but it's not just crackers. It's kind of nothing to do with crackers. It's to do with space. It's to do with cities, people, places, you know, as I say, engineering, you know, the military. It's got so many arms to it, but it's a really exciting place to work. So I'll carry on. So the apprenticeship program at Jacobs is relatively new, I think, in the scheme of what we do. I think historically we always took on grads and graduate training schemes, but apprenticeships now, you know, as we all know, they combine the practical and training in alongside the study. So as an apprentice, it's working alongside the experienced staff, gaining specific skills, earning a wage and getting paid to be on holiday, and time for the study related to the role. and depending upon the level, the apprenticeships offered by Jacobs can take between 1 and 5 years to complete. So the levels of apprenticeship we offer have equivalent educational levels. So from level 2 up to level 7, which covers from GCSEs right up to a bachelor's or a master's degree. And some apprenticeships may also give you an additional qualification, such as a diploma. And who can apply? So you can apply for an apprenticeship whilst you're still at school, which, as I said, going back to myself, that's exactly what I did. To start one, you'll need to be 16 or over by the end of the summer holidays when you leave school, living in England and not in full-time education. Predominantly, the apprenticeships we offer at the moment are in the engineering sector, so we tend to take on electrical and mechanical engineers. This year we have started offering project management apprenticeships as well, and we're looking to further our sectors into things like process. So there are more apprenticeships up and coming, but I think, as I say, as an ethos, it's a relatively new thing in the last couple of years. So watch this space in terms of what we'll provide in future. The apprenticeships we offer at the moment are based through Middlesbrough College. So they start off with year 1 full-time, then full-time and day release from the office, full-time and day release from the office in year 3, and then eventually full-time in year 4. Alongside that, we do lots of work supporting our schools. So we carry out a range of activities across the academic year. So we do STEM Fest, we do lots of STEAM activities with primary and secondary schools. We do work experience, we offer online work experience workshops, which have been a big hit. We're involved in the big project with Tees Valley Combined Authority, which we just launched on Friday. We're involved with a big project at Carmel School. And there's a project called Our Town in Hartlepool, which is working with primary schools to get them to think about it. And the overarching aim is for people to realise that there are so many careers in the STEAM sector and lots of people to go at. So it's trying to inspire those young minds and start their journey and their thought process and gearing them towards all the exciting opportunities that are out there. So any questions, if you'd like to pop them in the chat. So it was fairly light touch, but echo everything that, that's been said before me, that, apprenticeships are a great opportunity. There's some fabulous businesses offering them. And it's a really great chance for young people to get in, start earning a wage and start learning, a new skill and earning while they do so. So an absolute advocate for it here.
That's brilliant. Thank you. If the rest of our guests want to jump on, I know we're supposed to finish at 5. If everyone's got a couple of minutes, it might be nice just to have a nice little roundup before we all go. But one of the questions that I wanted to come to that has been raised is about different levels that are available in hiring. I mentioned degree apprenticeships at the beginning. I'm not sure how many of you touched on degree apprenticeships, but how do you feel this reflects your sort of recruitment strategy? And Lucy, if you want to start, seeing if you've just joined us.
Yeah, so in terms of our recruitment strategy, I think variation is something we're going for at the moment. So we're looking at people right from school leavers, across to people restarting their careers, to veterans coming into the business. We've got a lot of targets around recruitment, around where we get that recruitment from. And we're looking at a 40-40-20 split as well of male, female and other. So we're trying really hard to get a good balanced workforce. And I think apprenticeships right from school through to degree are a great opportunity for us to start that.
And what would you say about Jade?
For me, I would personally say, like I said, I'm a big, huge advocate of people ultimately having an apprenticeship. Now, sadly, I don't get to control everything that we do here as much as I would like. Like I said, at the minute it is level 2. However, like I say, we've got plans in terms of increasing, like I say, the levels of apprenticeships that we can offer in the local area. I know from the wider business, so we do certainly offer them, like I say, from level 2 all the way up to level 6. But I mean, even for me, even coming in as a level 2 customer advisor within the business, once you've essentially got your foot in the door as well, like say the amount of career opportunities that open up for people are absolutely outstanding. So, you know, even if like say somebody thinks, oh, you know what, I don't really want to go for a level 2, you don't realize, like say, the doors that it will truly open.
That's really interesting, and I wanted to take levels a little bit further, because we had Janine mention earlier. Lynn was saying that she works in a PRU, and asking how realistic it is for them to go on to an apprenticeship. And I think that touches on a couple of different issues, because at the end of the day, it's still about employment, but there's also brings around to supported internships as well.
I've not come across it. I don't think we would rule anything out, but in terms of where we sit, and especially where I work at the moment, I've not seen it, but I'll take it away and ask the question.
Great.
Yeah, we've got, like say, we've got a number of internships that have been available. Like say, we've also had employees that have come in as well and then done an internship on the back of it when they've then gone through higher education. But in regards to it being supported, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, but it's something that we can, like say, we can absolutely ask the question about.
Well, I'm going to quit while we're ahead on this and say that at least I'm very pleased to say that at the beginning, when we asked how confident people were feeling on the top level one, is that I feel very confident and know where I can find the information. Only 23% said that, and over half the people said I know a bit but feel they could look for more. Now we've got 66% saying they're confident and know where they can find further information. So I think even if we dipped in and out, I think you guys provided valuable insights from an employer perspective. And I think that we've got our links in there that we've added for Tees Valley. So hopefully you guys can scroll through the chat and open up all those links while you can. But if not, as I said at the beginning, this session is being recorded, and we will send out the link to the recording and also include other information that you can follow up on. I would like to say a big thank you on behalf of me, and I'm sure Andrea would be just as enthusiastic if she could share her words and if you could see me. But I would like to say a big thank you to our fabulous guests who've taken their time this afternoon to speak with you, and I hope everybody here is really appreciating it. Thank you, Jade from EE. Thank you, Robin from BP. Thank you, Lucy from Jacobs. I'd like to say thank you to everybody again, and that's a goodbye from me, a goodbye from all of our guests, and hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.